Thank you, Resolute Billiard Supply, for sponsoring this video. Hello, everybody. This is Chris Wilmoth, and you're watching another episode of the Pulling Around Show. Today, I'm with Isaac Wooten, the creator of Digital Pool, and today we're going to talk pool. Thanks for joining me, Isaac.
Yeah, no, thanks, Chris. Appreciate you having me
on. Other than digital pool, I mean, I know this is not your full-time thing, but what do you do for work?
Yeah, for work, I work at Google on the Google Cloud platform as a UX designer slash manager, and mainly working on big data analytics type tools. So a lot of that comes in handy building digital pool, but yeah.
So I don't know if you watched the Super Bowl last night or
Let's see.
Yeah, what do you think about the new AI thing they launched? What's it called? Copilot.
Oh, Microsoft's
Copilot.
It's pretty cool. I mean, I'm using something called GitHub Copilot, so I guess their choice of names could be maybe a little better, but for me, I mean, it's been great, like leveraging AI in different ways to help me, write code, debug code, even, produce content for social posts and even like marketing type ideas. Even used it to come up with some pricing model ideas for the new like paid version of Digital Pool that we're launching pretty soon.
Makes some of your work easier, doesn't it?
Yeah, definitely does. Yeah, I even implemented a couple AI features recently, so it'll be helpful.
So what inspired you to create Digital Pool?
I've been a pool player for a long time, probably over 20 years now, and just being in different leagues, being like a player and a team captain, and seeing all the ways that technology could be used to kind of enhance pool in different ways. I think that kind of inspired me, and just being like a designer and developer making products, it was kind of a natural fit to try to think of how I can leverage some of those skills in the pool world and not just play pool, but actually like contribute and help grow the sport and make it more fun for everybody.
Right. So yeah, and I found that it's I've been running tournaments for a long time, and makes it a lot easier than somebody standing over you while you're trying to fill out a board, and then they're asking you, "Hey, when am I up? Who do I play next?" And if you share it with them, they can look right there on the phone, and they're not breathing down your back.
Exactly. Yeah. And that's some of the stuff with, like I mentioned, AI, like adding some features to help the tournament director be able to know exactly when someone's going to play next without having to look through the bracket and see what round they're in and all that. Like it can just tell them, and it knows all the information about the tournament, all the matches that have been played previously, how long they took, everything. So I'm hoping there's more features we can add that will answer questions like that.
So I haven't really looked, but is there a feature in Digital Pool that figures out payouts?
Yeah, there's like a auto calculated payout, like suggested payouts essentially. That's about a quarter of the field. And so it kind of distributes the percentages evenly based on the total payouts. Right. Or you can do custom payouts, and you can certainly set up your own however you want.
I think you might have already answered this, but this one question is, how does Digital Pool help pool players, tournament organizers, and pool room owners to manage their events and leagues?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, I think all those different personas have different needs, and we help them in different ways. Tournament directors obviously use our software to run tournaments. It helps, speed things along, makes it easy for them to, focus on maybe more important things rather than just looking at a bracket or standing by a desk waiting for players to come up reporting scores. Like all that's pretty much automated. So they can just, verify scores, or if we have this autopilot feature, like they don't even need to do that. They can just kind of sit back and let the tournament run and help answer questions, or some even play in the tournament and pretty much runs itself. For the players, I mean, it's nice for them because, like you mentioned earlier, some of those common questions they don't have to wonder anymore. They have a good idea when they're going to play next. They're free to go leave the building, go get food, come back later. There's text messaging. There's lots of things to like make the whole experience better for them. And then for the room owners, I mean, we're installing permanent systems in rooms now with cameras and tablets and monitors on every table. So if someone wants to run a tournament, they've got like a professional setup that they can use to run the tournament, and there's live scoring available. And for all the spectators watching the tournament, it just feels like a more professional, like sports kind of environment. You know who's playing on every table. You know what the score is. So I think there's something for everybody right now.
So on average, um, so if a pool room, so I run tournaments at Chester's in Oklahoma City.
Yeah.
And there's 7, there's 11, there's 12. There's 12 7-foot tables.
Mhm.
So of course that's what you're gonna play your tournaments on. So on average, what would it cost a room owner to have cameras installed on those tables?
Right now it's $1,000 a table on average, including labor and install. We are manufacturing like perimeter lights now as well. They're in like anodized metal or wood, and those are an extra $200 a piece. So you can really get like the full setup. Plus, the system includes like an industrial grade Wi-Fi system with like multiple hotspots, so you could let your patrons connect to the Wi-Fi,
Right.
and that'll increase the connectivity. But yeah, it's usually $1,000 a table. And that's pretty much what we're charging for it right now.
And for somebody, and you don't have to, because y'all might have different deals you work out with different streamers, but on average, where somebody wanted a streamer wanted to tap into that room and broadcast and commentate on it, what's an average on the cost of something like that?
If it's just a small room and they want to tap in and stream from the room, like certain matches, if it's a big event, I mean, maybe it would be like $50 a day. But we also do a lot of these events for free. And then we have a kind of a setup where if there is like a pay-per-view attached to the event, if they can sell some of those pay-per-view passes, like 3 or 4, then they would get a day free.
Gotcha. I got you. So
So yeah.
So it was dogging it and post up. They were pushing and offering the discount code.
Yeah, it's a way to help the pay-per-view generate a little more money, but then they get a lot of benefits because they don't have to travel to the event, set up equipment. They get to choose from 16 different tables whatever match they want to stream, and
Right.
for them it's a pretty good deal as well. They get a lot of exposure from it too.
So what are some of the challenges you faced creating and maintaining digital pool?
Oh yeah, just like people constantly asking for new features, so you want to make them happy and get everything in as quickly as possible. Scaling issues, we've had to upgrade our whole database backend and servers 5 or 6 different times over the last couple of years to handle the scale. Making it work internationally is another challenge. Language barriers, all that kind of thing. And then just helping people out if they never used it before. You got to take time to kind of show them how to use it and walk them through it. And luckily now we've got enough people who have used it in most areas where they can show someone or help out, be like, oh, I've used that before, I can help you run a tournament or whatever. So yeah, those are some of the big challenges.
So yeah, there. But how do you balance work as a Google developer and your passion
Yeah,
for pool and
it's
technology?
definitely becoming harder nowadays, but yeah, I mean, during the day it's like mostly Google meetings and working on Google related stuff. Nights and weekends pretty much all digital pool. And if I have vacations and stuff, spend a lot more time on digital pool. So pretty much whenever I'm not working at Google, it's time either with my family or on digital pool.
Right. So now we'll dive into your pool playing. So how did you get into pool, and who are some of your favorite players?
Yeah, I got introduced to pool probably when I was about 21 years old, so definitely a while ago, just from a friend. And he's like, hey, you want to come to the pool hall and play some pool? And I had never really played before, and I don't know, I just kind of fell in love almost right away. Seemed like such a unique game, and something that you couldn't really master overnight, and felt like, moving chess in a way.
Right.
And so that kind of got me started. And then I joined a league. I think APA league was like my first ever league I joined, and started out as, I don't know, like a 3 or a 4 or something, and
Right.
eventually worked my way up, and started playing in like more tournaments and playing like action matches and things like that. And so yeah, eventually played a lot, where I was playing 4 or 5 times a week. And that was before digital pool came along. But then had a family, and kind of priority shifted a little bit. So now I play maybe like once a week, just to have some fun and keep my skills somewhat up to where they were. And it gives me a chance to connect with the players and hear about what they would like to see in digital pool, and kind of gives me a way to see what I'm doing is making a difference, and if there's suggestions and things like that.
Right.
And some of my favorite players, I really like a lot of the Filipino players. I think obviously everybody knows they're super talented over there.
Right.
It's nice to
Right.
see a lot more of them kind of traveling internationally, playing in these big events. I'm really excited for them. Of course, Fedor Gorst, like he jumped on the scene and has really just like dominated. I guess Joshua Filler is obviously like fun to watch. He rarely ever makes mistakes. Shane Van Boning, who doesn't like him being
Exactly.
American, kind of
Exactly.
obviously looked up to him. So yeah, those are probably some of my favorite players right now.
So is it is most of you self taught, or somebody like gotten with you and you take lessons and teach you some of the fundamentals? Or I mean, I know there's a lot of stuff on YouTube, but everybody.
Yeah, no, I mean, when I started, yeah, the YouTube wasn't even really a thing. So yeah, it was mostly self-taught, and playing in leagues, I think, certainly helped. There were some good players in the leagues, and you'd
Right.
always watch them play, and they were generous enough with their time, and they would show me, certain things. And over time, you start to kind of understand your fundamentals and how to have a good stance and pre-shot routine. And watching you in those situations, you're like, oh, I can just play this safety, and then it's a pretty easy way to get out of this jam or whatever. So it takes a long time, a lot of years to really understand like what to do in the situations, and like stay calm and not get nervous and stuff. But yeah, I think it's just a mix of kind of self-taught and then learning from other players.
So what does Zach do for you? What's his role?
Zach's like our systems engineer. So he spent the last like decade kind of building all the live streaming software and backend that we use to help run some of these big events. And so now pretty much he's like traveling around full time on the road, installing rooms with the system I mentioned, or helping run events. Sometimes he'll jump in the booth, do commentary, but mostly it's setting up these systems and doing the whole live streaming portion of digital pool.
So how did y'all get involved together?
Yeah, let's see. 2 years ago, Pat Fleming and him were working together on the International Open, and I forgot how we got in touch, but they invited me to come out and like basically help run the tournament. And this was the first event we've ever ran with digital pool, so obviously it was kind of a little bit nerve wracking. But yeah, I mean, we got through that, and had a good relationship after that, and started like collaborating on some stuff. And I think, yeah, within a year, it just made a lot of sense to combine forces and really team up. And so we pretty much like acquired all of his company and IP, and he basically became like our first digital pool kind of full-time employee slash business partner.
Right. Right. So do you see? I mean, well, do you see digital pool ever getting to a point to where you could walk away from Google?
Yeah, I mean, I think eventually that's kind of the dream.
Right.
Obviously, right now it's tough because we're not really making much revenue, but I think it'll get there. I mean, it has potential, and it's something I always enjoyed. So that was kind of one of my intentions starting it off, is like maybe one day this will become the thing I work on all the time. So
Right. So, like maybe, I'm not very into all. I mean, I don't know anything much about that technical stuff, but like integrating OBS with digital pools so you can sell ads, sell your own ad space for, for streamers to advertise for you or advertise your
yeah.
sponsors. I don't know, just a thought.
Yeah, that I built like a little ad network. I mean, we have ads in our website. We have ads that show up as a carousel on all those tables in those rooms. So right now, customers, yeah, they can contact us and put advertising across all the rooms, all the website. We have different pricing for that. As far as like OBS, I mean, we've got, scoreboards that can be integrated in OBS pretty easily.
Right.
It wouldn't be hard to add a separate overlay for just advertising, and then you'd have a way to, control all the ads and how often you want them to display, and that could show up in your stream as well if you want.
So what is your plan? I guess, where do you see digital pool in 5 years?
I see it being used worldwide to run big and small events and leagues, and also having our own events. I think there's a lot of opportunity there. We've got all the tools and knowledge to potentially be able to run, something that could rival like APA Nationals or a World Championship, quality tournament that has, hundreds or thousands of players. So
Right.
I can see it like growing in scale to that point where we're helping run very large events, running our own events. But then there's also a lot like with the players that I'm interested in seeing. We have a partnership with poolbilliards.co now. And so as part of this paid launch soon, we're basically bundling our whole products together. So for one price, you'll get full access to like 2 whole platforms. And they're mostly focused on training and like improving your game. They have pros they're working with to develop content and like advanced programs. So you can really like track your progress over time, and hoping that we can integrate it to the point where like as a player, you practice and then you compete and then you see the results over time. And like the more you do that cycle, like the better you get. And you've got this tractable, measurement of your game and your progress over time. And you see exactly like what skills you're weak in and strong in, and you have tools to work on those areas and then take it back to a match or a tournament. And I feel like that's kind of like really where we like to see it go, is helping players like really improve, reach the full potential of whatever their goals are with pool, and just build all the tools necessary to do that.
So is it something to mirror Fargo, or something to?
No, I think we have a good relationship with Fargo. I mean, they've done a really good job solving a hard problem of, consistent, fair player ratings that are global. So, we have a good integration with them. I built a lot of tools to try to like leverage Fargo as much as possible. We'll continue doing that. I don't really see us trying to create our own rating system. I don't really see the point right now. And they're going to continue to grow, and it's a hard problem to solve. That if we did just do that ourselves, it would take considerable amount of resources and manpower to do it as good, if not better. And so I feel like, why not just partner with them? We'll focus on the things that we're good at and we want to strive for in our kind of long-term vision, and just let them focus on the rating side.
Well, I'm hoping that they find a way that they can weed out all the sandbaggers, because there's a lot of people, a lot of players that are manipulating that system. There's no different than people sandbagging Fargo than there was before Fargo, when people were hustling and not playing to their true ability in order to, eventually gain an advantage over their opponents. So.
Yeah, you're totally right. And I mean, now it's probably a little bit more important that they do figure out that problem, because there's so many capped tournaments.
Right.
And so a lot of players, like, if they're right on that edge and they want to like be able to be eligible to play in an event, then they do try to find ways to manipulate the system and like lower their rating, or maybe in some cases increase their rating, and I know that Fargo's working hard to, police that and develop tools to look for fraud, and we're trying to do the same. So I think, over the course of time, we'll definitely get it dialed in. Maybe that's another way AI can help us too, is automatically look for patterns and kind of red flags and anomalies and things that we couldn't do just with a person looking through the data.
All right. And talk about capped tournaments. I don't like capped tournaments, but it seems to be that that's where the majority of the tournaments are leading to, because the overall goal is to get players into the room and spend their money in your establishment. Like I'm running an open tournament, not this weekend, next weekend, at
Mhm.
Chester's, and they're straight races. And right now I've only got like 32 people signed up. You know,
Right, I know. Yeah, I mean, the open tournaments certainly, like the higher rated players really want more of those, and I think the cap tournaments, they appeal to a lot of the lower rated players or mid level players. Gives them a way to be competitive and have a chance to win without running into like a 700 or something. I think like the split bracket format, which has become popular in the last like year or so, I think that kind of solves the problem in a lot of ways if they do it correctly, because it separates the high rated players from the low rated players, and then they eventually will meet
right?
in the final rounds, but it gives them a way to kind of segregate based on rating, but not completely, say the higher rated players can't compete because it's 599 and under or something. Like, they can still compete. They're just going to be playing with people of their skill level until they hit a certain point, and then they're going to
Right.
be playing someone from the lower bracket.
Yeah, but then you have like the biggest one that they just did in Alabama, where
Yeah.
that tournament director is giving the player the rating that they want them to have. Instead of
Yeah.
and
Yeah, they're kind of like using Fargo as like a baseline, but then they're also integrating their own kind of handicap system on top of it. I mean, it's going to require some experimentation, and it's kind of
hopefully they iron out all the wrinkles in it and make it a good tournament, because it was a huge tournament. And somebody rated a 4, snap the big one off and wins $100,000. So he ain't gonna work the rest of the year.
yeah, exactly. I know. And I mean, I don't know. It sounded like they won that lottery thing that they offer. And so it
Yeah,
lowers your handicap, no matter what it is, it lowers you one more. And so I feel like they were already a 5 or like a strong 5. And then if they got lowered to a 4 and they got to compete against everybody, like they pretty much had the best chance of winning at that point.
yeah. But didn't the tournament director or partner buy that person in the Calcutta?
Oh, I don't know about that. That would be a little shady if that
Yeah, it
happens.
sure
Yeah.
would. Well, man, I wish you and Digital Pool, I wish y'all global success. I haven't used I myself, and I hate to admit it, I haven't used it enough yet to know the ins and outs of it.
Yep.
But I'm running the tournament at Chester's next weekend. Of course, I'm going to use Digital Pool there. I used it the end of last month for the 600 under $1,000 entry 8-ball tournament that I ran, man, and it was awesome. But it's hard if I'm not running the tournament. It's hard for me to just sit and toy around with things and figure it out. So,
Oh yeah.
I guess I could create a mock tournament and just don't report to Fargo.
Yeah, you can create, like, there's a private setting, so you can create little small tournaments in private mode and play around with all the features and try it out. And the more you use it, I think the easier it gets, and then you'll see all the other features kind of hidden in there. So we got to do a little more work to help people know like what all features are available and how they work, and that's one of the things we'll be doing. But yeah, glad you're finding it useful so far. And if you have questions or anything, we're always open to feedback and suggestions to make it better.
I appreciate it. Well, man, Isaac, told you I wouldn't keep you very long. I appreciate
That's
you
okay.
giving us some time. Guys, if y'all enjoy content like this, hit the subscribe and like button and leave a comment and let us know how we're doing. And we'll see y'all next time on the Pooling Around Show. Isaac, man, enjoy your week. Enjoy your week.
Oh, thanks, Chris. You too.
Yep.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Take
Talk
care.
to you soon. Good.